Good morning. See if it shadow bans me today. Or actually, I keep saying good morning because my coffee hasn't kicked in. Grand Rising, everybody. Grand Rising, Grand Rising, Grand Rising, Jennifer. Let's see if again I'm going to be shadow banned today. We will see. Oh, I hope you all have your coffee because I do. I need the coffee in the morning. I know people say you should cut out coffee, but no, I love it too much. I don't think I could ever cut that out of my diet. Oh, good morning from Arkansas. Grand Rising, Arkansas. I'm going to give it like 2 more minutes and then I'll get into this. I have 2 stories to tell. And, ooh, are they interesting? Maybe three. Maybe three. So we will see. Happy birthday, Kay. It's Kay Plumer's birthday. So Grand Rising. It's a beautiful day. Thank you, Yeshua, for making Kay. That's awesome. All right, I'm just gonna get into it because people can tune in. I know it's Monday, so people might be headed to work and all that fun stuff. So, all right, I did a live yesterday in regards to McKay being a porn star. So let me just clarify something because I don't think people understand or comprehend, and so I need to clarify this. It is not the fact that she was a porn star. It has nothing to do with that. As I have mentioned a million times over and have multiple porn star friends, is that it's the fact that all of the deep state cabal puppets like Nino Rodriguez, his lackey Beth Marie, Tracy Jaco, Michael Jaco, now Ann Vandersteel, all these psychos have literally made comments within regards to me that I shouldn't be trusted because when I told my story and I write about it in my book that I originally chose to do porn, so don't trust me because I'm a porn star and I'm a liar and I can't be trusted because I'm a former porn star. That is my issue. It has nothing to do with McKay being a former porn star or a porn star now, whatever she is. And there's videos out there, but we all know that videos can be circulated. So it has nothing to do with in regards to her being a porn star. It has to do with these cabal puppets can't sit here and say, oh, don't trust Madyson because I clicked myself out of this stream because my coffee hasn't kicked in. The whole point is don't say that I can't be trusted because of my past, yet they're literally covering up for this woman who is and was a porn star. That is the whole point. Like that's what people need to understand is that, it has nothing to do with her choice. And people are talking about Kristen W being a Playboy. Kristen W was at least honest about that. She never lied about it, and I've been very clear. I think I was never really a fan of Kristen W's. I met her at a I hate to call these Patriot events because they're not. I was invited to speak. I met some really amazing people, don't get me wrong, at this event. And so it was a blessing to go. And I wasn't really a fan of Kristen W, but kind of watching how things have played out with Kristen. I mean, how are all these people her friend and they could care less that she died? They didn't go after the hospital. They did nothing to like go sue the hospital, go after the hospital, nothing. Like, how is this your good friend who died in the hospital over the scam, demic? Like, come on, guys. Like, this is your good friend and you don't care less. So anyway, that's like a whole nother show and a whole nother story for another time. But again, Kristen W at least was honest about her past and the Playboy Mansion and all that stuff. Has nothing to do with that. It has to do with the fact that you can't say I'm not trustworthy when you're literally like, I don't want, what's the word, like harboring a porn star or like hosting a porn star and totally okay with it. And now McKay, she's so trustworthy. Okay, sure. Okay, great. She's trustworthy, whatever. I mean, like at this point, they're all controlled. They're Project Mockingbird. I've said a million times over. I've done shows with Doug Heisel. I've posted shows within regards to Jim, who's in Illinois. It's like the time to for the revolution is now. The time to stand up our republic is now. And it has nothing to do. These Project Mockingbird, listen, it hurts their wallet for people to know the truth. Now, Ann Vandersteel, I find it really comical that she went crazy on my Truth Social today when Anne has my phone number. So if Anne had an issue like a grown up, she could have called me. But because they're cowards and will never face me, I've never said anything negative about Anne. I've known she's been a sellout for some time, but I sat back and watched to. Sorry, I hit myself out of the stream again. I sat back and watched Anne to see kind of what she would do and how she would sell out. She's been on my Telegram for some time now, following, but that's how the cabal, they have to keep tabs, right? And they have to keep tabs onto me to make sure that I don't out them for the frauds and the cabal puppets that they are. So let's see. Anne posted, and I'm going to tell you a story about Anne back in September of 21. So I want to read it. So Anne wrote, such a champion for victims, and then like a throw up emoji. I can tell you've never spoken to McKay. 5 hellish hours at 22 years of her 47-year-old life with 2 New York degrees, 7 screenplays, 30 film TV projects, 3 businesses, investigative journalism, and a McKay show. She was lied to, threatened, coerced, assaulted, drugged, and traumatized, then suicidal in therapy for years. You look the intel asset trying to deceive people. Try investigating and calling the source next time. You're an embarrassment. Guess what? McKay would never talk to me. And I did reach out to McKay and she didn't get back to me at all. And the thing is she's not a victim. They literally, she's been in Hollywood, okay, and seen how things have played out these past 24 hours. She made her choice, and you have to have a sexual act to get into the cabal and deep state. I've said this a million times. That's what she did. They had to have an embarrassing act. That was her porn that she did, and she chose it. And now they have elevated her into this amazing human being because she made her choice, and her choice was to sell out America, to sell out her soul to the devil. And that is who McKay is. She sold herself down the river and wants us all to feel like she's this victim. No, you're no victim, because if you were, then be honest about your past. She can't be, because again, the deep state controls the narrative. The deep state controls the story. That is what they have done for her. And I have never said that I have talked to McKay, but I never said I didn't reach out to her either. I think certain things, it's like, okay, I do what I need to do to reach out to them and have a conversation. But McKay went on the character assassination tour with her little puppets, Jaco and Nino, and all of these people, told everyone not to trust me. You know why? Because if anyone was going to find out that she did porn, guess what? It's going to be the former porn star. And the people that are new here, yes, I chose to do porn, and then I was trafficked through the porn industry for almost a decade. Read my book, go watch any kind of interview that I have done. That is literally my story. Okay, so let me talk about Ann Vandersteel for just a hot second, and I'm going to talk about 2 of these truthers that could care less about trafficking survivors. And at this point, it's kind of crazy. And I want you to see, this is how the deep state works. This is how they have worked within regards to me trying to, I don't know, catch me in something or whatever, but they never could because I tell the truth. So here, Ann Vandersteel reached out to me in September of 21, maybe give or take a couple weeks, but it was in 2021, and said that she had met these 2 women at a one of those tours. I believe it was a Clay Clark tour, but I have to go back and look at all the things. And Ann Vandersteel was speaking, and that these 2 women came up to them and that they were victims of human trafficking. So there's a man that reached out to me and he said, hey, can you help? Can you talk to Ann? And I said, well, sure. Didn't really know anything about Ann, because you got to remember, I don't follow these people. I don't want to be mind controlled. I am not a puppet. I want to think for myself, and I want to listen and watch people that are, 1, going to educate me, 2, give me tools to stand up our republic and stand up our country, and that we can move forward, because at this time it's time for the righteous revolution, and that the people that are going to give me tools to do that, that's what I'm listening to. all the other crap and the intel and the fake prophecy and all of that. Not listening to it. I don't care. It doesn't tickle my fancy or whatever. It doesn't give me a dopamine hit. It just annoys me to listen to them. So when I had talked to Anne, I didn't really know who she was. I knew that she had podcast news, blah blah blah, whatever. So she calls me, and it was the most weird like conversation because she says these two women came up to them at this event, said that they were being trafficked and they needed help. So then Anne has a conversation with them, and apparently went up to Michael Flynn's bodyguard or someone that had worked for Flynn. Again, I have to go back and look at all the things. Went up to Flynn and right Flynn's person, right, whoever works for Flynn, and says, we need help. We're being trafficked. And then Anne was there with some other dude. And so they were like, okay, let's go talk to you. And went and took these women in a room. And then the women were like acting as if they, were scared. So Anne's like, oh, don't worry. I'm going to put my phone in the microwave so people like can't trace or hear it. Yet she's recording the conversation in the microwave. Like it's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. And so she sends me the recording, right? And I'm like, why did you put your phone in the microwave? She's like, oh, so they couldn't record us or trace us or whatever. And I'm like, okay, this is just dumb. And maybe people are just uneducated in certain areas. So I'm like, I'm not going to really judge it. So she's like, hey, can you talk to these girls? And I'm like, yeah. And here's the thing. I've been trained to, one, spot traffickers, two, to help victims. And I cannot be played by Ann Vandersteel, Scott McKay, or anybody else. I'm going to tell you two stories about how they tried to set me up on two different occasions and didn't win. Okay. So I talked to these girls. One is 31. The other one is 41. So they're 10 years apart. The older one is saying that she's the younger one's mom, which I'm like, okay, immediately red flags go up because, one, a 10-year age gap does not make someone like a motherly figure, especially when you're 31 and 41. It's crazy. So I'm like, okay. So I'm hearing these two women talk. The one woman says that the 31-year-old is living with her and that her ex-husband is coming to rape her every night at her house and that they can't stop him and that the 41-year-old is like, she's being trafficked. Well, it was very, very clear that the 41-year-old was pimping out this 31-year-old. So I say to the 31-year-old, which you have to be very careful here, right? Because I'm like, there's a handler here. She's obviously pimping out this 31-year-old, making her believe that she's on her side, when in reality, she's pimping her out to her ex-husband and she's being raped every night. And this is the story that they're telling me, right? I don't have any receipts on this. This is just something that these two women are telling us. And here's the other thing. The fact that they were at an event was like, okay, not that women can't be trafficked through these events, but it was just a lot of red flags up until this point. But I'm like, if someone needs help, if I can help them, I'm going to help them. So I said to these two women with Anne, and again, I recorded all of these conversations. I don't trust Ann Vandersteel. I don't trust any of these people. They have tried to set me up. They've said so many horrible things about me. I don't trust one of them. Okay. And so I said to the 31-year-old, listen, we can come get you. We can bring in a team and we can come get you. But I said to the mom, right, who was acting as the mom, I said, you can't come because you're not being hurt. And so, we need to relocate her. And at this point in time, they were like asking a million questions of where our safe houses was, like, or were or are, and asking a million questions. And I'm like, listen, when you have a trafficking survivor, you can go meet up with them, or a trafficking victim at this point in time. And I said to the girl, well, I can come meet up with you so we can talk about this, but I want to just, like, we can go in a public place and I can talk to you. You can pick the place wherever you want to be. You can have anyone there, but can we just sit at a table and have a conversation, you and I, so then I can explain to you the process of when we relocate you. But this woman cannot come with you because she's obviously the trafficker. She's obviously the pimp. She's obviously setting up this woman to be raped. It was like the craziest thing. And then they just went crazy. And the whole thing just seemed really odd. Well, fast forward maybe 2 months, this woman, the mom, goes on this smear campaign, right, against me. And I'm like, listen, I do believe the 31-year-old was being hurt, but at that point in time, I'm like, it just everything seemed off and it seemed like a setup. And now it's like now that 41 and 31-year-old have started this smear campaign when it's like, okay, if you're really being trafficked and this is really happening, I mean, come on. Like it just all of it seemed off. And Anne was like, oh yeah, I learned a lot. Thank you so much. It just seemed really just kind of like a setup. And as I like look back, I'm like, man, she was trying to get to know like who I worked for. She thought I worked for David Straight. And it was kind of, which is funny because then she now like works under him or for him or whatever. And so it just was really kind of comical at the time. And now looking back, I'm like, this is why now Anne is spiraling. She's freaking out because I have talked about McKay. McKay is not a victim. Like I said, she made her choice. You have to do sexual acts to get into the cabal and the deep state. They always record them. And guess what? I'm guessing that McKay isn't really listening to her handler. And so they released certain videos because the majority of them were all scrubbed off the internet. So, you know, I find it also comical too. Well, not comical, but it's kind of maddening that I have had lawsuits for years against Pornhub and everything else to get my trafficking videos off and cannot. You know why? Because I'm not a sellout and I won't sell out to the deep state cabal. I'll never do that. Okay. So this happened with Ann Vandersteel. Fast forward about 6 months. Okay. I get another call from Scott McKay, who I thought was a friend, and I had been friends with him and friend not I guess friends isn't the right word, friendly. And he calls me and he tells me again, same scenario, right? Which is crazy. Tells me that there is a woman that was at one of his like shows, but then met his sister and was being trafficked. So he's like, can you help this woman? So I'm like, okay, well, let me reach out. She was in Pennsylvania at the time. So I'm like, let me reach out to her. And at the time, all of like the things of this woman, she was actually being trafficked. There were a lot of issues, but Scott McKay never once, okay, this woman was living in a playhouse, like a little mini, like those baby playhouses, you know, when like kids are like 2 and they go in the little playhouse. They're like I can't think of the brand, but they're like little playhouses. These people that lived in a house said to her, you can live in this playhouse in our backyard, but you can't come in the house, can't use the bathroom in the house, you can't do any of that. So she had a car, which was not like a great running car, and lived either in the car or in this playhouse. So Scott McKay meets her. He's got a ton of money. Okay. I don't care. He's got a ton of money. He can afford for her to go and stay in a hotel or something to like shower or anything. Little Tikes. There you go. Yes. I'm like, that's the playhouse. So I'm like, he could have anything, but he calls me. And again, at this time, I am in a different state. I'm like, how am I going to help this woman in a different state? I have to like, there's things that you have to go through, especially when someone is crossing state lines, especially when it's an adult, if they have a child. You know, you have to make sure that they're doing everything of their own free will, especially someone that's a victim and they're in that victim stance. You gotta tread very lightly with them, right? So doesn't help this woman whatsoever. We end up relocating her, myself and my friend and admin, Michelle, on my page. We use our own money and everything else because, again, this is a favor that Scott McKay is asking me to do. So we use our own money, our own time, and our own resources to get this woman from Pennsylvania to across to a different state. And I'm not going to say which state because I'm like, she went to different states and she's in a state now. But anyway, we used our own resources. At the time, she needed her car fixed. We needed to get her money somehow to be able to get her car fixed so she could get gas to drive to where we needed her to drive so we could help her. Well, again, I reached out to Scott McKay. I'm like, hey, your sister lives in Pennsylvania. Can we send the money to her and she can make sure that this woman uses that money to get her car fixed and get everything that she needs to do? Nope, can't do it. I've been burned in the past. Can't do it. Can't do it. We weren't asking him for any money. We were asking him to send the money to him so he could help this woman. Nope, nope, no. So I'm like, okay. So one of the pastors who, see, people always think I hate pastors and I talk bad about people, but no. I reached out to him in Pennsylvania, him and his wife, who are like pastors of a small church. I called him because I had met him and I said, listen, they had worked with victims in the past. And I said, hey, can you help us? Like, this is where she's at. Can you like help her? We need to get her on the road. This man and his wife drove over an hour to get this woman. They then let this woman stay in their house, didn't know her at all, let her stay in her house, do laundry, shower, get everything that she needed to do, did an oil change on her car, new tires. Like, again, don't have a lot of money, yet they're giving, right? Like Yeshua tells us. So these people are doing this, and the whole time Scott McKay is not doing any of it. So fast forward, we get this woman to a safe location. We have her in a hotel. There's different scenarios where we're like, okay, you can do this program, that program, like giving her the options of what she wanted to do. Well, like you got to be very careful too, because when people are trafficking in that victim state, and they have sold sex for money, that they expect things to be handed to them because that's how they have survived. So they use their sexual like way to get things. So you've got to tread very, very lightly. So one, they can go into a healing survivor state and they're not in that victim state. So you can't just hand them money. You can't just do like, it's not a wise thing to do. And we had raised money for this woman, Michelle, who is an admin on my page through her church. They all said, I only shared it. They set it up. I shared it. And fast forward again to a different pastor and his wife, and it became like they had conversations with Scott McKay. It became about this money that we raised, and we said, listen, this money is for her, but you can't just give thousands of dollars to her. You've got to set up things for her and teach her how to be with money, because we were giving her like gift cards at first so she could go get stuff like the MasterCards to go get like necessities and different things, but then she was spending $500, $600 on just random things that I'm like, okay, she doesn't know how to use money. She doesn't know how, like when you're trafficked, again, people, you have to learn things that other people have learned. And so here we are again in another situation with Scott McKay and Ann Vandersteel. I really do believe that Scott was just like, here's this woman, didn't think I was going to actually really help her, did help her, even though the person that she ended up with totally did another smear campaign against me. And I was like, listen, people always say, do you know everything? No, I don't. But I am an expert on human trafficking. You know why? Because I was trafficked for almost a decade, and now I run a task force to rescue children and to work with women and men that have been trafficked. So no, do I know it at all? Absolutely not. But there are certain experts in different fields, and I'm an expert in this one. And so I just wanted to be very clear here that these truthers are not truthers. They are literally liars. They are Project Mockingbird. They didn't help these victims who were, one, I believe, not a victim at all. And I think it was a setup from Anne, 110%. And now that she's losing her crazy SHIT, it definitely shows that she is a predator protector. I mean, they are cabal puppets, each and every one of them. And I'm just over it. Again, I want to go back to the beginning of, you cannot say that I am not trustworthy when each and every one of them, Scott McKay, I asked to join my task force, but I know that he can't because he has a disability because of his accident, but he has bodyguards. And I said, hey, would your bodyguards be willing to go on this task force and help us rescue these kids? Oh, yeah, totally would. Nope. David Rodriguez, I asked him to join our task force. Nope, I can't. I can never do that. No, can't do it. I mean, all of these men, Michael Jaco, like all of these men that have been asked, and then they're wanting me to sit back and say that I'm a liar. Listen, if they thought that I was really, truly a liar, then they could have joined my task force to see that I was telling the truth, or they could see that I was lying, right? Like if they thought I was a liar, join a task force and be like, oh, okay, she's lying. Oh, okay, actually, she's telling the truth. Either way, they're stupid because I asked them. I'm also not crazy. I actually really thought that they would join because they were so against human trafficking. I mean, Scott McKay sold how many shirts on Save Our Children and made, like $100,000 or something off of it. And again, I'm not hating on anyone for making a living or a business. I am hating on people when they're pimping out God's word, they're pimping out Yeshua, and they're making money off of victims' pain. It's not okay. And so again, you can't say I'm not trustworthy when this woman who literally sold her soul to the deep state, they rose her up. They're all part of Project Mockingbird. None of them give us tools to stand up our republic. They are sellouts. And Vandersteel, I know you're watching because you have kept tabs on me for a long time now because you wanted to see if I would expose you. Well, guess what? Here's your exposure. You're a liar. You're a sellout. You're a traitor. You're a domestic terrorist. And you know what? The revolution is coming. The revolution is here. We're coming for each and every truther that had us sit down and had to stay compliant so we wouldn't rise up. Guess what? The revolution should have happened in 2020 when they locked us in our homes and when they locked us, closed our small businesses, told us to wear muzzles, told our children to wear muzzles, jabbed our children, are killing our children. We should have rose up then. But no, these deep state cabal puppets like Ann Vandersteel and Rodriguez, Nino Rodriguez and Michael Jaco and Scott McKay. Oh, sit down, trust the plan. Guess what? We're the plan. It's time to rise up. Screw these people and listen, people that are like, oh, you're so angry and bitter. No, I'm not angry and bitter. Guess what? God has given me a righteous anger to stand up to these bullies, and no one else will stand up to them because they're so afraid of them because they're like, oh, I want to go on their show and I want the likes and I want the follows. Who gives a crap about this likes and follows and everything else? At this point, we're about to lose our country and we're about to be locked in 15-minute cities across America because we're not rising up. And we're like, oh, we're afraid of jail because January 6th. Who pushed the January 6th narrative? Guess what? 3 people sat in jail. So if you're more afraid of sitting in jail than you are of losing your freedom, then you've lost your freedom already. Your freedom is gone and you're never getting it back because you're more afraid of these jails who are not our jails. It's not our government. They're under corporations. And Vandersteel won't tell you that because she's a sellout. And Scott McKay and Michael Jaco, the CIA puppets, and McKay and all of them, the cabal puppets, will not tell you that. They're going to tell you to sit down, be quiet, and just, don't do anything. Just trust the plan and wait. No, we're the plan. It's time to rise up. Stop trusting these puppets that literally are controlled by the cabal. These 2 people tried to set me up when it came to these trafficking victims. It really backfired in their face because even though the horrible pastor and his horrible wife that this woman ended up with, I do believe that they were horrible to me because they're money hungry like everyone else. But I do believe that they cared about this woman and her child that they let go into their home. So in that, I'm grateful because they protected this woman and we found a place for her to go and be safe. So that, anyway, let's see. Listen, I don't care if you believe me or not. This is my house, okay? This is literally my Facebook. This is my YouTube. This is my Rumble. I don't give a crap if you don't believe me because guess what? When you're sitting there in a communist state, you deserve it. You deserve to send in communism because guess what? Me and the people around me that are going to make the revolution and the righteous revolution and take our country back, we're going to leave you in the dust because we know exactly who each and every one of you are. We've documented it. We've recorded it. We know who you are. And TikTok, because we're coming for you. So all of these fake truthers, I said it over a year ago. They're going to start falling one by one. And here it is. McKay, the porn star. And again, has nothing to do with her being a porn star. It has to do with that these jerks have literally gang stalked me. And they're doing it now. Ann's little puppet, Ann Vandersteel's puppets, and Nino Rodriguez puppets are gang stalking me online now, doing the character assassinations because that's all they have. When it's funny because they're the ones that are the liars. They're the ones that didn't tell the truth. They're the ones that haven't been honest about their past and everything else. All they have done is got rich off of fake intel, off of fake, like caring about America. They don't give a crap. Listen, I love my country. I love Yeshua. It's Yeshua first, my kids, then my country. And guess what? I am going to stand and I would listen, give me freedom or give me death. And all of these cabal puppets, they are not going to last because in this righteous revolution, we are on different sides of the war. So we're going to be standing on one side and they're going to be standing on that side and they're not going to win because while those cabal puppets were sitting there feeding you fake intel and feeding you fake crap and charging you for it, the rest of us over here, we're learning how to shoot. We're stocking up on guns and ammo. We were training every day mentally, physically, so we can stand on this front lines of the war and we can take our country back. So guess what, cabal puppets? You want to stand against me in a war? Let's go, because I guarantee you won't win. I have Yeshua and you have your fake little intel and all of the other crap, and we're not having it. We've built our army. You've built your fake little online army. We've built a real one. So let's effing go because we're over it. And yes, am I angry? Absolutely. They closed our businesses. They muzzled us. They muzzled our children. They told our children they couldn't go to school. People sat back and screamed at us for not wearing a muzzle. And these stupid cabal puppets sat back and said, oh, just sit there and trust the plan. You're the plan. We're the plan. Trump gave us the power back. It's time to take it. And the one last thing I'm going to say here is, guess what? If elections mattered, they wouldn't let us vote. So no election coming here in November is going to matter. It's time to rise up because elections, again, if they mattered, they wouldn't let us vote. And Vandersteel and all these sellouts, stop watching them. Start watching the people that are giving you the tools. I've been forwarding the wedeclarefreedom.com. It is giving people tools to take our country back, to stand up the republic, everything else. These are the tools that we need to do, and we need to come together. All the other crap, unfollow them, unsubscribe. I don't care if you unfollow or unsubscribe to me. All I'm saying is start following the people that are giving you tools to take our country back and that aren't going to put you back into the system and enslave you yet again. Ann Vandersteel, she's a slave master. I'm going to say it right now. Ann, you're a slave master. David Nino Rodriguez, you're a slave master. Michael Jaco, actually Tracy Jaco's the slave master because she's Michael Jaco's handler. Scott McKay, you're a slave master. All of them want us enslaved. When we are all sitting here behind a screen and everything else, they're going to get rich and lead us all to the slaughter. It's time to take them out, lead them to the slaughter. And I'm not saying go harm anyone physically, because there are ways to take on this revolution without harm. But guess what? It's getting to the point where we're going to have to go to war. So, anyway, that's where I'm at on it. I have told my truth and you suck. I mean, seriously, grow up, be a woman. And if you want to have a conversation, you can call me and have a conversation. But I know that the coward that you are, you will not, because you're a coward and you hide behind a screen and you think that everyone should just listen to you because you're pretty. And no, they shouldn't, because you suck. And yes, maybe I sound like a liberal telling her that she sucks, but she really does. These people just suck. I'm so sick of people selling out us. I mean, and I guess this is actually the really last thing. We were enslaved when we were born with our birth certificates and our social security cards. We enslaved our children and we didn't know, because when we had our babies, they said, oh, give them a birth certificate and a social security card. They literally enslaved us. We're all being trafficked. It's called human trafficking part B. But Ann Vandersteel won't tell you that because she's a cabal puppet. McKay won't tell you that because she's a cabal puppet. Nino Rodriguez will not tell you that because he's a cabal puppet. Should I go on with the cabal puppets? No. I will always stay safe. I'm always going to stay strapped. I have my gun there for a reason. It's not my only gun, but I have them all over the house. So if anyone were to come into my house, guess what? Or to me on the street, I'm going to protect myself. I'm going to protect my family. That's it. So anyway, I love all of you guys. I don't think everyone is bad. I have never said that. What the issue is you can't say to can't say about me like they have for the past over 3 years that I'm not trustworthy because I did porn when McKay literally sold her soul down the river to join the cabal and the deep state. And then all of them were like, let me trust her. And guess what? All of these, Ann Vandersteel and all of them attacking me, they all knew. I wasn't sure, but they played their card. And it's kind of comical because they all knew that she's a cabal puppet because they are. Now, again, there are good ones out there and there are people telling the truth. The problem is the ones that are telling the truth, the cabal has silenced, they have turned off of their social media, they've shadow banned them, everything else, and people aren't listening to them because you can't find them. Well, I've pointed you guys, I'm going to continue to point you to them. Facebook deletes 20 million of my messages every time I post it, but I posted, hey, these are the ones that you should follow, and that's the ones that you should follow. So yeah, that's right. My secret life is being a giant dick. Like, you're so mature, Jennifer Lynn Royal. I don't know if you're talking to me or someone else, but anyway, that's the thing. That's the other thing too. Why call like these people names on social media? Who cares? Find the people that are making the good comments. Let's all come together and let's stand up and rise up against these people that are trying to take us out and put us into a communist country. Like, come on. I mean, do you guys want to live in communism? Seriously. Anyway, I love all of you guys. There's good ones out there. Be careful who you follow, be careful who you trust. And I'm going to tell you over and over and over again, the only person that we can trust is Yeshua, our creator. And for the idiots that keep saying that I would say Jesus, maybe go look up what God's real name is and when the J in the alphabet came about and why I use the name Yeshua and why I use the name Yahweh. I mean, if you want to be hateful, you cannot be hateful until you actually do some research on the topic. So I don't follow the Jesus and the God that these Satanist pastors and these cabal puppets follow. I follow the true Yeshua, my creator, that has anointed, appointed, and chosen me for just this time as this. And I will stand up to these fakes and these people that want to continue to enslave us. I refuse to leave this world to my children and my future grandchildren and my future great grandchildren. I will not. I am going to stand up. I'm going to rise up. And if you're a coward behind a screen, you go ahead and be a coward behind a screen. But when the revolution happens, you're not going to be on the right side of history and they're going to take you out because you're not on the right side. So pick a side, choose a side. It's us against them. It is true patriots that love our country against these people that have sold out and are Project Mockingbird and everything else. It's time for the Esther and Deborah rising. God's chosen me. I'm going to tell the truth. You don't like it, you can unfollow, you can unsubscribe. That's it. Love you guys. I wish you all well. And Vandersteel, you still suck. And we know who you are. TikTok.